And so this is actually really funny because this is actually Jimmy Kimmel is pitching on Shark Tank. And so let's see how Jimmy Kimmel does on Shark Tank.
People call fish the meat of the ocean. Sharks, what is the first thing you do when you eat a piece of fish? You squeeze a lemon on it. Yes?
Yes, it's true.
But do you know how dangerous that is? Look at this video we made to demonstrate.
Wow.
Whoa. But
Yeah.
what if the fish already had a squirt of lemon inside it? I present to you lemon in a fish tank. It's a lemon in a fish tank. I'm seeking $3 million in exchange for a 7.3% stake. Yes?
Jimmy, how are you getting the lemon into the fish?
Well, the fish eats the lemon through the mouth.
Jimmy, this idea is poo-poo on a stick. You got to take it behind the barn and shoot it.
All right.
That's ridiculous.
That is ridiculous. So again, obviously it sounds like that was just a joke that they set up and have Jimmy doing that. It wasn't obviously a real deal. But when I watched this video, I really liked it because again, number one, he disrupted the pattern, which was great. And number two, he added some humor to things. And that's a tricky one, and so I'm curious, there are people right now that, I think humor is great because humor from a psychological perspective, it really ties up the conscious mind. It again, disrupts the pattern, ties up the conscious mind, and really allows you to start implanting suggestions in the subconscious mind. So it's kind of a hypnotic way of really selling, but I think it's difficult to do. And so what advice would you give to sales reps to how to strategically start adding humor into their presentations?
Oh, good gracious. That's loaded.
I know.
Well, one, I think go within your brand. Remember the first program I ever wrote was your X Factor Advantage.
That was a great program.
That was a great program. I like that program. So stay within your brand. If you are a very serious analytical person, you can lighten yourself, but don't try to be Jimmy Kimmel and a comedian. If you're funny and that's like you were the class clown in school and you're the funny one in your group, I feel more comfortable with that person starting to add in humor. So don't jump so far away. I talked on last week's episode about people, saying that my very first seminar saying how unlikable I was. And I jumped so far outside of my personality that it was inauthentic. I didn't enjoy it. They didn't enjoy it. And so I think it's so far of a jump. But if you're wanting to add lightness and some humor, one is don't write humor into everything that you're doing. Have one thing that's humorous. One thing. They didn't come to a comedy show. They came to be sold. So add one thing in and see if it lands and is funny. I mean, the amount of things that sometimes we will write that we think is hilarious and it just bombs terribly. And things that I don't think are hilarious at all, everyone's like dying on. I'm like, I wasn't a joke at that point. So one is recognize the feedback that you're getting. And if you're doing something you didn't mean to be funny was funny, but they did it, keep doing that. So let your audience be your guide. And when you're wanting to insert humor, do it just one piece at a time, just one. Like don't rewrite everything. But what I think is really interesting about this clip is I think it's falling into a trap that a lot of salespeople do, which is like pain point. So he's like, he found one pain point, which is the lemon in the eye, which is really funny. He has this one pain point, and now I have this big solution for you, but we don't know what problem the person's having. Jimmy doesn't know his numbers very well. That he's now giving these ridiculous numbers. What was it? 3 million for 7.3%. You have to. There are sales programs out there that just find their pain point and you just harp on that until they yell mercy and buy from you. And that's what I think is happening in this one, instead of a more holistic approach on everything else and asking questions. And there's a lot missing here.
So you're saying, so really that goes back to the philosophy that we believe, and that's that human beings are moving away from pain and also towards life improvement. And there are a lot of sales philosophies out there that are really just kind of one-sided. They're either focused too much on the pain or focused too much on the life improvement. And we believe is that human beings are really kind of doing both at the same time. I mean, there's a little bit of them when it comes to any decision. A little bit of them is trying to stop doing something that's problematic, and and part of their nature is trying to start doing something that's going to improve them. And obviously, every human being is a little bit of both, depending upon the different percentages of both, right? So 70-30 one way, whatever, 30-70, whatever, right? So you're saying that it's important for us to make sure we do both.
Yeah, and yes, absolutely both, and definitely. It is unlikable to only talk about the pain points and to harp on that. Then people don't want to be around you. Like, why am I being ghosted? Well, because talking about you with you is miserable. And then also understand the return on investment. Whenever anybody's buying anything from you, there's an investment there. What is their return on it? And so Jimmy's giving them these huge numbers, $3 million to put lemons in fish tanks. But what's the return that they're going to get? Why should they do that? And I think a lot of times as salespeople, we get a little bit arrogant on, this is, obviously you should do this for this reason. Obviously there's a return. Well, let's tell people what the return is, especially on a business to business sale, which is what he's doing right here, is we've got to tell them what their return is going to be.
Yeah. So you're saying, so let's just kind of just role play this. So let's say we were to coach Jimmy right now on his presentation, and Jimmy's in front of us right now. And so we're going to say, hey, Jimmy, great job on again, turning up the pain. Great job on focusing on the problems. But what you could have also added to your pitch is, hey, Sharks, can you imagine you're on this great date with your wife or your husband, and all of a sudden you just know, and you can just feel the guarantee and the freedom that every single bite that you take of a piece of fish is going to already be flavored with lemon. Like how much better will your date night go knowing that you don't have to take any time away from being present with your beautiful wife, and instead you can just enjoy the time with your wife because you enjoy the freshly flavored lemon fish.
So weird.
Is
But
that
exactly.
the idea?
Exactly. If we had an opposing video of them at dinner, or even that awkward, Mr. Bean type man sitting there eating the fish with every bite, just being perfect and not having that. So we see the heaven, right, that people get to move towards would be better. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I love that. So, it also makes me think though, when it comes to adding humor, I do think sometimes humor is a great way to de-escalate stuff. So what do I mean by that? So, that I love using humor when I'm working with like kind of stressed out people. So for example, like TSA agents at the airport, right? and so, so we're going up to a TSA agent at the airport. That's a pretty stressful job. Can you only imagine like how chaotic that would be? And of course I give them my ID and I'm like, it's a pretty sexy man right there. And, of course they always
every time. You do it every time.
I do it every time. And, they see my license and they always laugh, right? And they always kind of, it disrupts the pattern. It makes them, kind of smile a little bit, which I think is important. So I think that's a fun thing to do, to kind of be self-deprecating and kind of have fun with it, right?